Hey guys, it's Bro You Whack, and there are so many ins and outs about Overwatch to where you can make it as intricate of a game as you want it to be. With that being said, that also allows me to talk about so many aspects about the game and in turn help you try to be a better Overwatch player. So that's why you see a lot of my tip videos range from extremely detailed tip videos like with ult combinations or team comps, or just something as simple as the kind of mindset that you need to have while playing Overwatch. And I just bring that up because today's topic is going to be bringing up those intricate tips, but also bringing up the kind of simple mindset that you need to have while dealing with this problem. And what I'm talking about is how to deal with a keyboard and mouse player on console. Now, if you guys are new to console Overwatch or don't even know about this problem, what I'm talking about are the players that buy a third-party adapter, plug in their keyboard and mouse into their console through that adapter, and control their Overwatch character with a keyboard and mouse while playing on Xbox or PlayStation 4. And the reason why this could be seen as a quote-unquote unfair advantage is that they're using the superior way to play against the inferior way, which is a keyboard and mouse versus a controller. You get a lot more accurate and precise movement with a keyboard and mouse than you do with two tiny little plastic thumbsticks, plus you have a lot more abilities at your disposal because more fingers or your phalanges are covering more of your abilities and movement than you do on your controller. But the thing that gives a keyboard and mouse player on console an even bigger advantage is that they also get aim assist on top of that because they are playing on console, whereas playing on just PC, nobody gets aim assist. So that's why it's seen as an unfair advantage. But is it impossible to take out that player that is playing on keyboard and mouse? That's why I bring up the intricate tips that go into Overwatch, but also the simple mindsets that you need to have while playing the game. Because it's not like keyboard and mouse players on console have the I automatically win button. It's not like they're hacking to where they can get insta headshots or where they can get wall hacks. No, they're still just playing the game with advantages, yes, but it's not like I win advantages like you see on PC with all these hackers. So there are still ways to deal with it, and I'm going to be talking about those ways that you can try to deal with these players and still win against these players. And the first tip that I sort of already mentioned that might not seem like a tip because it won't instantly change your gameplay in the short run, but it will in the long run, is changing your mindset from, oh my god, he's using keyboard and mouse, we just lost, to he's using keyboard and mouse, what can we do to deal with it? So many times when someone is using keyboard and mouse on the other team, your teammates are so fixated and focused on that player, but in the wrong ways. They're complaining, they're crying, they're giving up when they seem to forget that this isn't like a wall hack. This isn't something that automatically makes them better at the game. No, they are still human. They can still make mistakes and still miss all of their shots. Or better yet, they still can't win against team compositions that play against their kind of hero. Whether it's a keyboard and mouse Widow, Soldier, McCree, Hanzo, you can still take out that heroes if you just play smart, but you can't play smart if you're so worried about those players. And I know. It's easier said than done. I'm making a video right now not having to play against a keyboard and mouse player, so I know I can easily say that, but you really just need to make an effort to tell your teammates or tell yourself even, what can I do to stop that player? Because obviously they're the carry player. Obviously they are going to take their team to victory if they are causing that much frustration on your team. So what do? Literally everybody on your team, tank, DPS, or support, switch on to a hero that can take care of that keyboard and mouse player to where they either have to switch on to a different hero or you just continue to counter their best player and you win the game because you're the better team. So let's talk about the obvious change that you need to make, which is the tank heroes. You gotta play a dive composition, and whenever someone is carrying on the enemy team, it's most likely going to be the Widowmaker if they're using keyboard and mouse, so you need to play dive heroes like a Diva, like a Winston, or heck, even a Hammond, just someone where they can try to kill Widowmaker and not die by either their Widowmaker because they are so good or by anyone else on the team. You got to be smart in that moment in time on what kind of tank would benefit on killing, but also not dying by the rest of the team. Because while the Widowmaker might be 1v6ing all of you guys, there's also 5 other jabronis on the enemy team that could still easily kill you. Heroes like Zarya and Roadhog, where they might not necessarily die right away by the Widowmaker, they can't deal with them. So that's why I suggested those fast, agile, and divey tanks at the beginning, like the Winstons and like the Diva. It's pretty obvious. obvious. But something that might not be as obvious are DPS players switching onto a DPS hero to deal with that Widowmaker using keyboard and mouse and then just making a fool of themselves. I see this a lot of the time in the higher ranks because they overcompensate their skill, and while they might be of the quote-unquote same skill level, the enemy Widowmaker is using a keyboard and mouse, so they have a clear advantage. So while you might be just as good, they're probably going to be better because they have peripherals that's supposed to be better than your peripherals. So my tip here is to stay away from those long-range heroes like Widow, Ashe, and McCree, unless you're a god tier Widowmaker or you have a keyboard and mouse as well that you can plug in. Then I would not play those heroes because you're probably going to be beat. But to also stay away from extremely slow heroes like Symmetra or Torbjorn, and to think more of the agile divey DPS heroes like Doomfist, especially Doomfist because he's super meta, or maybe even Genji and Tracer. While they might not be the most meta picks, they're a lot better when dealing with the Widowmaker because that is your sole priority right now. Not to deal with the tanks, not to deal with the support, deal with their carry hero, and once you dissolve their carry hero, the rest of the game should be able to figure itself out because you either made them switch on to a different hero, they either got frustrated and now they're starting to tilt, or you just continue to kill them and you're able to take care of the rest of the team because you guys are the better team. But with DPS and tank hero switching, you support players can also help the situation. While your goal isn't necessarily to kill the enemy Widow, McCree, I just keep using Widow because that's the most common keyboard and mouse character, you can play characters that won't so easily die from that Widowmaker. I say this in a lot of my counter videos. While the main goal, yes, is to kill the enemy whatever, another goal to counter an enemy player is also to play a hero that won't be so effective against you. So if we continue to use that keyboard and mouse Widow example, heroes like Ana that not only are slow but also stand still a large majority of the game are terrible heroes to play against a carry hero like Widow, or even someone like Zenyatta who is also super slow that can't necessarily take care of the Widow, unless you're like Dogman that can play a mean Zenyatta. But playing heroes that are like Moira that have the escape fade, well yes, she isn't the fastest, she at least has ways to protect herself if she is in the line of sight of Widowmaker, or especially playing heroes like Lucio because he's all over the place and it's going to be a lot harder for the Widow to shoot a moving Lucio than it is shooting a moving Zenyatta. Or heck, even a Mercy because she has the ability to fly to different heroes if they are caught in the lines of sight of Widowmaker. The point that I'm trying to make here is that you do not want to die by Widow. And I know that's so obvious. I know that's the most stupidly obvious thing I've said in this video, but once you start to have that mindset of what won't die by the Widow and what can take care of the Widow, then the keyboard and mouse problem kind of just not magically goes away, but becomes less of a factor because it's not like they're gonna so easily kill you to the point where they're gonna be able to run the table. Why? Because you not only changed your mindset, but also changed your heroes to make the keyboard and mouse player irrelevant because you realize that Overwatch is much more than just about aiming. It's about positioning, it's about team composition, it's about like, there are so much things that go into Overwatch more than just aiming. If it was all about aiming, it'd be CSGO. And a lot of people seem to forget that Overwatch is much more than just hit scan characters. While yes, a large majority of the hit scan characters can carry the game because there is a big skill gap in there. And I also forgot to mention that heroes like Tracer and Genji also can benefit. Like a lot of heroes can benefit from a keyboard and mouse. I just use the examples of Widow heavily because that is what I most commonly see in my games, but also what I also see in the ladders. And I'm also not trying to say that console Overwatch and top 500 is only just keyboard and mouse, because no, there's also controller players on there as well. And how do you think they were able to get in the top 500 and maintain in top 500 while dealing with these quote unquote keyboard and mouse players? It's because they were able to be a versatile player. It's because they were able to learn heroes to not only take care of these keyboard and mouse typical characters, but also just deal with any kind of character that is carrying the game. Whether it is Reaper, whether it is a Zarya, whether it is a Brigitte or something, they're able to pick and choose a hero that they're good with because they spend the time and energy to practice that hero to deal with that. And that's just kind of assumed when dealing with a keyboard and mouse player, is that you're a versatile player to be able to make a switch onto someone else. And beforehand, before the 2-2-2 role lock was a thing, I would have said that everybody should have played dive tanks or whatnot because that is the best thing to play against a Widowmaker. This 200 skinny HP hero can't deal with the 600 HP ball or pink ball or monkey ball or whatnot. But now with role lock, of course, you still have to play DPS and support. but that's why I listed ideas of heroes that you can switch on to not necessarily kill the Widow, but where you won't die by the Widowmaker, or any character that the keyboard and mouse player is using. I just keep referring to Widowmaker because I think they benefit most from keyboard and mouse. I don't really think someone's using a keyboard and mouse for Winston. Is it frustrating? Yes. Is it illegal? No, because Jeff Kaplan and the Overwatch team have stated that while it's frowned upon to use keyboard and mouse on console, it's not like they're hacking. It's not like they're not allowed to do that. So that fact alone should tell you that, okay, they won't get dealt with. Why don't you try to deal with it? And it might seem naive for me just to say, oh, just deal with the keyboard and mouse player, when a lot of these top 500 players where these tips are kind of going to already kind of know that, where they can easily say, bro, you whack, you suck. You just really don't know how it's like in top 500. And yeah, maybe I do suck. And yeah, maybe I don't know. But I do know that crying and complaining won't help deal with the Widowmaker, or at least knowing how you should think while dealing with the Widowmaker and what you should probably do, just as a reminder, might help you deal with it more than just crying to your teammates. But I love you guys. Thank you guys for watching. More Overwatch videos to come, and bye.